Can you imagine if you put your own personal wealth into a project, your reputation, your personal safety in many cases, and many of your businesses were set on fire for a certain cause. And then at the end of the day, when push came to shove, your cause got completely ignored and all that went to waste. How pissed off would you be? Oh, you'd be very pissed off. And have you noticed that Elon and the Doge team have gone really, really quiet as President Trump's talking about the one big, beautiful bill? Have you noticed that? Well, without those cuts being codified and with just more spending, and if it passes through the Senate the way it is right now, let me tell you something. It's one big, beautiful bill of bullshit that means nothing, that just adds to the deficit, if not. But, like I always try to tell you, there's always something we can do. Don't just comment on the news. Don't just react to it. There's always something we can do. And we're not done yet with this thing. Not quite done. It's not wasted yet. But we're on like the 2-yard line here. And I know there's a lot of pushback here. And there's senators who are Republicans in the Senate who are pushing back against this thing because they want more cuts. We'll hear from a couple of those here in just a second. But man, I tell you, this thing is a bunch of crap so far. I will tell you that much, because we are in a debt spiral, and what they're telling us ain't cool. But there is something you can do about it. We'll talk about that. We'll lighten it up at the end here, though, with some lifestyle stuff. Well, really, it's consumer stuff. Southwest Airlines. Remember Southwest was telling us for years, we will never have baggage fees. Right. They may have been the last to institute them. I think they're the last, but they're here. Today they start. If you have a flight on Southwest Airlines today, you're going somewhere right now, you're going to pay. They eventually caved. Something you can do about that, too, as a consumer. And here's a little goofy thing that popped up yesterday. Tom Brady has gotten really good at trolling the trolls. You might have seen the boos he got in Indianapolis for the Indy 500 over the weekend. Well, he responded yesterday on Instagram, which is where people respond to things these days. It was just pretty funny how he responded to that. He's getting way better at this, way better. With all that said, thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream wherever you like to be online. That might be Facebook, YouTube, even clips on Instagram, or the audio podcast, which is posted after the show. It's all right there. Do me a favor on X. Press like and follow and share and all that good stuff so we can get it out to more people, because that's been growing great. So thank you very much. All right. Like I said, have you noticed Elon has been eerily quiet? In fact, one of his recent posts on X was disturbing, talking about the one big beautiful bill. People reached out to him, and his one-line response was, I tried. I saw that and I almost cried. I'm like, oh God, you got to be kidding me, because it's true. I mean, I just said it right there. You can imagine putting hundreds of millions of dollars into putting a cause forward, your time, your reputation. Stock took a dip, but then rebounded in a big way. I think he actually knew it would. It took his focus away from his other businesses like SpaceX. And some of his dealerships literally were firebombed. Like, that really happened. All of that. Can you imagine going through that? And if it's for a worthy cause that actually has a direct impact for the country he loves, that matters. For the people he loves, that's great. What if it was all for naught? What if nothing happened? There'll always be something good to come from it, but... So he is talking, and this is a little clip that got released yesterday by CBS. He's talking to CBS Sunday Morning. This is coming up this weekend. Here's a little clip they released of it, and they asked him directly about, is Doge wasted with this one big, beautiful bill of BS? Well, yeah, so far he's confirming that it is. This is what he said.
So, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big, or it can be beautiful. But I don't know if it can be both.
Well, glad he's laughing about it, but he said it actually adds to the deficit, if you can believe that. Not only the Doge cuts, but the actual spending in the bill itself and how much. And I know that the response from the White House so far and the administration has been, we're going to grow the economy by so much. And I love Caroline Leavitt, the new White House press secretary. I think she's fantastic. Don't try to put this on my back and tell me it's raining, please. We're going to grow the GDP. We're going to grow the economy so much that it'll actually won't add to the budget deficit. It won't add to the nation's deficit. Right. No one would run their household like that. No, it's like this, like, if you tried to justify this, and I know a lot of people do, hey, we want to buy, season passes to Disney. We want to buy 4 of them. Well, we can't afford that right now. Right. But what we're going to do is, I'm planning on making so much money this next quarter, it'll cover all that. You can't run a household like that unless you have money in hand. But yet somehow, that's how they're allowed to run our government. That's allowed. All right, so let's do, just in real time, let's do a little experiment here. Just in real time, let's go to, and I'm just going to Grok on X because we were just talking about Elon here. But you can look it up in really any real reference source yourself. And let me just ask how much it actually adds. All right, ready? I'm doing the voice check thing. How much does the one big beautiful bill add to the deficit? Searching. Answer. By the way, Grok is great. Not for all things, and don't rely on it to run your life, but just to fill in the blanks sometimes for quick reference. It's really good. I use this so much more than Google. Anyway, what does Grok say? Answer. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is estimated to significantly increase the U.S. federal deficit, although the exact figures vary. Okay, so, and then this is why it's great. And then it comes up with all the different research centers that have estimated. Congressional Budget Office estimates it'll add $3.8 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. Oh, great. Penn Wharton budget model says it'll add $3.3 trillion. Tax Foundation estimates the bill would increase the deficit by $2.6 trillion. Well, that's looking better. So imagine adding a deficit by $2.6 trillion. It looks like good news. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says it'll increase $3 trillion to $5.3 trillion. And then it goes on to say how the White House is counteracting that they will counteract that by growing blah, 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 blah. One big, beautiful bill of bullshit so far. That's what it is. But hold on. Maybe we're not done yet. Maybe the end game here, because you've seen them, and they've taken a lot of criticism. It's amazing, and this is an unfortunate thing. Now you've got Senator Rick Scott from Florida. I know him well because I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he is responsive. More to that in a second. Even Governor Ron DeSantis. You've got Ron Johnson in the Senate, a couple of others, and they're all starting to gather to not pass this thing for the reason supposedly is they want more cuts. Okay. All right, so we're not done yet. So let's see. In fact, Senator Rick Scott I think Charlie Kirk was interviewing him yesterday. This is what he said about it, because so far, and he did a good job in the interview. He asked him to commit to a yes or a no, and he said, no, I will not be voting for this thing in its current form. Here you go, it's Rick Scott.
Johnson, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, all of us, we want a bill to pass. We want a good bill. We want a bill that secures the border. We want President Trump's agenda. We want to make sure we plus up the military. We want to make sure we all the DOGE opportunities to reduce costs are part of this bill, and then this bill to the extent we can. But guess what? The Democrats have increased the budget by over 50% in the last 5 years. The House bill cuts the spending by less than 2% over the next 10 years. It doesn't balance the budget. It isn't even close to balancing the budget.
Well, okay, so he's a no. He committed to that a little bit later on in the interview. Well, that's good. So went on the Rick Scott X handle directly yesterday. And this is why I say, well, what are we going to do? We can't do anything. You can't fight big government. You know, the swamp won. Did they? Oh, no, hold on. Let's go back about a week ago. You and I were talking about this on a live stream. We were talking about the no tax on tips idea. You know how that got done? Because, well, I didn't. I'm not in the service industry. But bartenders, waitresses, catering people, valet, anybody that relies on tips, and not from unions. Millions of people got together and they kept up the pressure for about 8 months when it was first introduced. And they called their senators and they texted them and they kept the pressure on their House of Representatives people and they made sure it got done. That was a classic example. That's why I was so happy about it, of things getting done from the American people and making sure it got done because they wanted it so badly. Why aren't we doing that with this? This is your chance. So I tried it myself yesterday. So I reached out to the Rick Scott people X handle and just made a couple of comments and direct messaged and did it myself, Citizen Bill, because he is one of my senators, right? It was a little bit easier because he's definitely in favor of that, didn't have to twist an arm. And I got a response from them. And because I said, do whatever you can to make sure that these cuts are permanent. I said, we're working on it. We're doing this, whatever. So they are responsive. They do see that. Now, the current modern-day equivalent of call your senator is reaching out to them through social media and making a big deal as much as you possibly can. If enough of us do it, it does make a difference no matter where you are in the country. It's going to be tougher if you're in a state where you got a Democrat senators or you've got rhinos in there and they're not going to listen to you. I understand that. But if you make enough of a big deal to tell them you don't want to add to this deficit, they'll hear it. Absolutely they do. There's no doubt they do. Because somehow we get lazy. This happens all the time. Well, this is what I voted for, and I'm all happy. November 2024 went my way. Well, then what'd you do? Because that's just the start of it. You have to follow up on these people and put the pressure on them. Here's the great thing. Unbelievably, I know it doesn't seem that way sometimes, we actually still do have a voice. So that's the pivot. That's what you do. Don't sit here and complain about it. And you shouldn't complain about this deficit or the bill unless you did something. You spoke out against it because you can. You know who else this was really interesting yesterday. I think it was DeSantis. I don't know what the press conference was for. I'm going back to Florida here for a second. It's interesting that they're both in this state. Governor Ron DeSantis spoke out against this as well. Now, it's long to listen to. It's interesting to hear what he's saying in this, though. He's a tough edit. He really is, because he just kind of rambles into the next thing. But everything he said is right on point, I believe. Now, is this another politician making talking points? Yeah, I think he's going to run again. And DeSantis, just if these cuts don't go through, this will be his running point. This will be, he's just going to attack on that. He'll say, you didn't do anything. You just, in your administration, ran on increasing the deficit again. But anyway, it's long, but listen to what he's saying here. Here's Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday.
It's a little frustrating. You know, Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, like, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships. Media smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff, because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress.
Ridiculous. He's right about that. Now, again, keep in mind, just temper that a little. Is that a politician looking for his next talking point? Yeah, but he happens to be right about it too. Just keep that in mind. And again, well, what can I do? They're not going to listen to me. Yeah, they are. Did you vote? Well, it doesn't stop there. Keep the pressure on these people, whatever state you're in, your elected representatives, and tell them, hey, as this passes right now, it's got some good things. But if it goes through in its current form, this is one big, beautiful bill of BS. This is bullshit what they're trying to push through. That you have to push back on. But the great thing is, it's still true today. The sad thing is we all get beaten down to the thinking he can't do anything. Well, my voice won't be heard. Yes, it will. And again, I'll say this 10 times if I have to. Look at the no tax on tips thing that became law. Look at it. That was because people kept up the pressure. It was a campaign promise that actually did happen. And it would have fallen by the wayside. Trust me on this one. Unless people kept the pressure up. That was organic, it was beautiful, and that was from we the people. Your voice does matter. But you can't complain unless you do something about it and reach out to these people. I reached out to Rick Scott. Those people got back to me. Was it an auto response? Maybe. But if they get enough of those, they're like, yeah, we're on the right side of this thing. This is what my people want. They're politicians. They want to get reelected. So keep the pressure on them. They work for you. Don't ever forget that. All right, here's another thing. Let's get out of the swamp for a second because I'm feeling swampy. Ugh. Washington, D.C. swampiness. Well, here's something that's starting today, and this kind of goes to the consumer part of things. I remember this clearly. Remember when the baggage fee brigade started with all the airlines? I can't remember who started it first. It might have been, might have been one of the biggies. Was it United? Was it American? Was it, I don't know. I can't remember. But we all said at the time, if you fly anywhere for business at any amount, well, here we go. They will all be instituting baggage fees before you know it. And it took a while. Southwest, I remember this directly, said, we will never have baggage fees. Remember they had an whole ad campaign? You can choose your own seat and no baggage fees. They ran commercials on this. I remember it. Well, sure enough, they broke down and they made the big announcement. I think it was actually late last year that it was coming. Well, today's the day. If you've got a flight on Southwest Airlines, get ready for $35 in baggage fees for the first bag and $45 for the second. And if they're anything like the other airlines, my God, don't go over that weight. Don't go over 50 pounds for checked baggage by an ounce, or you're going to pay more, I think. If not now, it'll be there eventually. Well, sure enough, they did it. But you could have seen this coming if you follow how the airlines are kind of put together for any amount of time. One of the news organizations, now they're based still, one of their big hubs is out west, Oakland Airport. I've flown Southwest into Oakland, believe it or not. Before it was a time when you were sure to get stabbed. But they went to Oakland Airport and they talked to a bunch of people, one of the news outlets out there, and they asked them how they feel about it. This is just random, like 3 people, but listen to the reactions, right? And who do you think's the best consumer in this? I think there's 3 of them. Listen to the lady in the middle, and then the guy at the end especially. Here they are. Baggage fees with Southwest Airlines starting today.
I'm used to paying for the $45 for the bag, so it won't make any difference to me.
As someone who flies and has to check bags, I guess that will impact how I think about choosing Southwest or other airlines.
They got to do what they got to do. I'm not worried about it, though.
Oh, all right. Well, they got to do what they got to do. Yeah. There's the problem. Now that last guy especially. We'll get to the lady in the middle in a second, but that last guy, I'm not worried about it. They got to do what they got to do. How much you think he's going to shop around? Or he just says, whoa, okay, well, this airline's overcharging me by $200. Well, credit card, I'll just go in. That's how they get away with it, because nobody pushes back. No, you have to do something about this. But he'll be the first to complain about it later, to somebody somewhere, at a party somewhere. But then sure enough, well, they got to do what they got to do. And in some cases, yeah, I get it. When every single company in a certain industry does the same thing, yeah, you try to fight it best you can. But the lady in the middle was the good consumer. She goes, yeah, I'll think twice about that. I'll think twice about it. Somehow, some way, we're more like the guy at the end than the lady in the middle. We're not shopping around. We just shrug our shoulders. No, they're going to do what they're going to do. I guess I'm going to pay. That they know that there's enough of those people to make up their bottom line, and that's how they get away with it. But, all right, here's the good news. As always, what's the takeaway? What's the pivot here? You can shop around still, and there's certain things, and they will actually have in some cases, they'll have promotions where they're waiving baggage fees. Not a lot, but they will. But it should make you look at who's got better prices and better fares. Not everybody does it, but you can do it. There's always a way to fight back a little. And you should look at this and say, good, well, I'm going to be a better consumer then. This will force me to be a better consumer. Not enough people are going to do it, like the last guy, and that's how they get away with it. That's what companies do. But the person like the lady in the middle, she'll be a good consumer. There is still opportunities out there to get it done. All right, enough of that. Segueing again to Indianapolis, Indiana, where the Pacers just actually had a big win last night. Looks like they could be going to the conference finals in the NBA, but that's not what this is about. They also have the Indy 500. That happened this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and I'm sure you saw this. It was big news. It was a big deal. So it was on Fox. So it was the biggest personality on Fox right now, Tom Brady. Yes. So of course they're going to have him. They did a little video of him in the pace car and all this, driving around the track and all this. And then they introduced him along with legendary driver Jimmy Johnson. You probably saw this. He got booed, Brady did. And a distinct difference when they introduced Jimmy Johnson, all kinds of cheers, and they booed Brady terribly, and it went on and on and on. It sounded like this if you didn't hear it.
He's driving 7-time Super Bowl champion and 5-time NFL MVP, Tom Brady. And our pace car driver for the 109th running of the Indianapolis.
All right, so that's one thing. So then Brady, gets back home. He kind of, from the big event, and he reconvenes, and I'm sure that's when because you don't really see it or hear it on stage. It's just white noise in the background. But I'm sure he saw the clip and people sent it to him, and all his friends were giving him a bunch of crap about that. So he responded yesterday on Instagram, which is where people respond apparently now, and he's getting really good at this. This is what he said, and I thought this was funny. It was an incredible experience, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Fox family. Thank you, Jimmy Johnson, blah, 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 blah. Here's the good part. P.S. It was great to get in one more successful drive in front of a bunch of Colts fans. He's getting really good at this. By the way, as a lifelong Brady fan, because, I'm a Pats fan, as you know, for so long, he didn't used to be like that. He didn't used to, punch back ever, but he's really good at it now. He didn't get nasty about it. He just did, which shows that you can always troll the trolls if you do it in the right kind of way. We don't have his kind of platform, but still, you can always fight back. But the main takeaway, do what you can. And I mean this. None of us has a right to bitch and complain about the one big beautiful bill if we don't do anything to contact your representative. Yeah, I guess you can still call, but the main thing is through social media right now. All of their social media accounts, get to them, put the pressure on to institute these cuts, or it was all for a waste, and we're just adding to this debt spiral. We don't want to do that. You can always do something. That's the main takeaway. And don't take any crap from anybody, especially the trolls. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio live stream, all part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. All the social media platforms, like, follow, share, all that good stuff, especially on X for the live stream and the replay. I'll repost it. Well, it's on there, but I repost it again at about noontime. And do me a favor and follow on there so we can get out to more people and all that good stuff. And the audio podcast will be posted within minutes if you're watching live, wherever you like to get your audio. With all that said, wow, it's midweek already. Love these short work weeks. Have a great one. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday. Put the pressure on these elected fools. Don't let this thing pass as is. We'll talk to you tomorrow.